So let's do a little bit of election talk, man.
Oh, hell yeah.
So there were some reasons. Oh, here, I want to go here first. So here's a CNN article, and I want to go here for a specific reason, and you're going to see why. So there were some reasons for a little bit of optimism yesterday, I'd say. You saw some, and here's what they're saying here over at the CNN. The votes are in, but the jury is still out on a handful of New York's most closely contested races. If the current leaders in New York hold on, progressive newcomers will have successfully knocked off longtime Rep. Elliot Engel and replaced retiring Rep. Nita Lowey, incumbent. All right, blah, blah, blah. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez won last night. Now so there were a couple progressives that really turned some heads last night. And here's something interesting that I wanted to point out. This line right here in the CNN article.
Oh my gosh.
Voting goes relatively smoothly in Kentucky. Well, let's see. Let's see if what actually went down. Voting goes relatively smoothly. I can tell by Johnny's response that you too feel like this was kind of a comical sentence that they had the nerve to put in an article. All right, so here's something I found that I'm sure you found as well, Johnny. Here's some footage of people trying to vote in Kentucky last night.
Yep,
they want to vote. They're begging because they want. And by the way, there's other angles to this. There's a bunch of people. It's not just these line of people at the doors. There's a bunch of people behind them that you can't even see how many people are there. They're banging the doors because they want to vote. Charles Booker pleaded with the courts to leave it open for longer, and they got it open for 30 more minutes. People were able to vote. And this race right now between Charles Booker and Amy McGrath, unless you saw something this morning that I haven't seen yet, it's still too close to call. We're not going to know for a little while. But that race is very, very close. But they have done everything they could to try to stifle the vote. Now, for anyone not in the know, Charles Booker is a progressive. He's going up against Amy McGrath, who is a pro-Trump Democrat. And they did everything they could to try to stifle the vote in urban areas, to try to stifle the vote, especially in black neighborhoods, to try to make sure she got through.
This voting center, I believe this is the convention in Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the only in-person voting available for all of Louisville, I believe.
Yeah. They stripped it so that there was just the one in-person place, and people right away were just like, "What? Are you kidding?"
And then it closed at 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm. And they got it open a little while longer, but then they had to tell people, like, stay in line, don't leave. And this is just one of those things, man. And here's what I tweeted. I sincerely hope Charles Booker's wins, which I do. But this is why we desperately need a new party. I mean, this is just one of those things. They're going to try to suppress the vote no matter what. But when you have just the Democratic establishment, it's like you got to go up against all this right out the gate to even have a breathing chance to get into office. And you're going to overcome voter suppression a second time in the general. So it's like you got to beat it twice.
It's just disgusting that this is happening all across the country now. We've seen it in Iowa, New Hampshire, here in California, Texas, Missouri, now Kentucky. This is just completely. This is our democracy. These are our rights.
Democracy in quotes.
This is our right, and they're taking it away from us. We don't live in a democracy, ladies and gentlemen. If our vote doesn't count, and they're suppressing you and making you wait 3 hours in line to go vote, it's ridiculous. And I don't know. I think it's time to protest at every congressperson's house. It's time to protest at the election official's house. It's time to protest at Secretary of State Alex Padilla's house, Dean Logan's house.
Yeah.
And then if nothing happens, well then, a peaceful revolution. I forgot the quote. You know the thing. You know the thing.
You know how it goes. Let me put it a different way. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to not have your vote count. It doesn't.
Exactly.
To channel my inner Joe Biden. Like, let me, the thing. Let me put it a different way. My time's up. No, it's just, and this is why, and I don't want to sound like, I mean, obviously these grassroots progressives, I'm rooting for all of them. I want them all to do well. I really do. But it's like you're going into an entity that wants to absorb you and co-opt you if you even get a chance to be in office. And they hate you. I mean, it's like they don't want, they're doing everything they can to make sure, they did everything they could to make sure Charles Booker would not win. They did everything they could. So now, if he does advance, which I hope he does, he's going to have to beat that again because, well, now he's going up against Mitch McConnell. So it's like if we had a viable alternative party, which I know that's not an easy order, that's going to be very, very difficult. But is it more difficult than what we got up against us now? I don't think so, because guess what? Voter suppression is going to happen no matter what. If it's just happening in a general where you have a viable third party option, and it's the Democrat and the Republican and a third party that actually represents people, well, all of a sudden, the Republicans are going to do everything they can to suppress the vote. Well, guess what? The Democrats are just going to be laying dead in the water. And this fake establishment, this fake opposition, it's not a fake establishment. It's a real establishment. It's a fake opposition. They're just going to wither away the same way that, the Whigs withered away and we got the Republicans. And it took a course of 6 years. I mean, I feel like history repeats itself. Sometimes it takes a really long time. Like whenever people are like, well, we haven't had a different party. And it's like, well, all the more reason why it's time. At least that's what I think.
Exactly. And I like that point you made on the show a lot. Whenever we start talking about AOC or what Dementer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always bring up this meme that I found, and it's a picture of a mafia. It's a picture of a mafia gang, right? And it says, "I'm going to join the mafia and try to reform it from the inside."
Right.
That's literally what joining the Democratic Party is.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think Nick Brana, I like the way Nick Brana puts it too, which is kind of like along that line where he's just like, guys, we're going to go take over Walmart. Walmart's going to do everything differently because we're going to take over. And it's like, dude, and this isn't, they've made it clear, they being the Democratic establishment, that they don't want you the most. Like you being the progressive, their first priority is stopping you. They've admitted that. I mean, there's footage where they're basically just like, well, it's like, I mean, especially when the primary was still going on, it's like, well, stopping Bernie is almost as big as, like stopping Bernie is more important than beating Trump. I mean, they've said that on MSNBC.
Those emails.
It's unreal. And it's just like, why? It's like we're trying to get into a party, a kegger, where no one wants us there. They're like, we don't want you. And we're trying to find ways to sneak in. Meanwhile, the kegger sucks. It's just a bunch of people standing around, not doing anything exciting. And it's like, what if we just had our own fucking kegger and a bunch of other people who don't know where to go are going to see how cool our kegger is and show up at our kegger. And they're going to say,
got IPAs at our kegger.
We got IPAs.
Not Bud Light in our kegs.
No kidding. No kidding. That's got to be the slogan. In a land of Bud Lights, be a frickin' craft brew. I'm not a big IPA guy, so let's be a little more inclusive here, Johnny, because other people might. So we'll just say craft beer, because some people, they might prefer hefts, they might prefer lagers, they might, I mean, you're the only person I drink IPAs with, by the way.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think you're the, I just thought of that now, like when I think about it, because I'm not a big, I enjoy, if it's a good IPA, I'm into it. I'm not like, and you always have good ones, but you're the only guy I usually end up drinking an IPA with, because that's your weapon of choice.
Oh, absolutely.
So usually when you're like, dude, let's do an, I'm like, all right, because I don't dislike them. I just like, I would say hefts and lagers are like my first two go-tos. If I'm evaluating a new beer place, I'll be like, do they got a good heft? Do they got a good lager? I'm going to go there first. And then an IPA, I'm not a big hops guy, but when it's done well and infused well, I can totally get into it. I've enjoyed plenty of IPAs. I've not enjoyed some as well.
Right. And going back to
we don't have to agree on everything.
Going back to your kegger analogy, what I was thinking was that yeah, and even at their kegger, it's like a bunch of soulless people who just don't even pay attention to anything. They've sold out. They're capitalists. They're imperialists by not paying attention to what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure even if we told them, they wouldn't care. They'd be like, yeah, well, they're doing it for the best of our country or whatever. I don't know. Like, no one cares about foreign policy. Everyone should care about foreign policy because we're literally murdering brown children and women and men across the country. I mean, across the world. And I don't know. It's a hard battle to fight, Ron, but here we are.
No, I hear you, man. And I think that, kind of getting into like a bigger theme outside the show today, like a lot of people, they don't make those connections. I mean, first of all, like when it comes to foreign policy, a lot of people just don't know what we're doing around the world. They don't know. There's so many people that it's like, and this is a result of really good propaganda by the corporate media. They don't know that we're bombing 9 countries. Or I think we're up to 9 now. It's at least 7. They don't know that. They don't know that it's like this is an empire. We're a militaristic empire.
No one ever says the word empire.
No one ever says it.
Media.
No,
they'll never say it.
Not even if they're talking about Star Wars. They won't even mention that movie. They're like original trilogy. They're like, yeah, there was the first one, and then there was Strikes Back, and then Return of the Jedi. That's what they do. That's how determined they are to not even go there. But yeah, I'm with you. So, people don't make those connections, and then people just, they kind of like the corporate media is a tree that keeps people's vision blocked from the forest. That's the purpose it serves. Like that's what it's there to do. That's what I think. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make